And once you have rated your district on its vision, what I would ask you to do is to talk at your table for a minute, share your own sense of whether that's a strength or something that needs to be a focus of work. Recognize that each of the questions here frames a piece of the understanding of vision. So, does your district, does your school board have a statement of vision? If you're not sure, they may in fact have one, but they may not have communicated it terribly well. So the first item is, how participatory was the development of a vision statement? Did it involve the community? Did it involve only the education community? Did it involve only the school committee? Who was a participant in that process? The second item has to do with values. As the school committee talked about the core values of the district. So I'm going to give you that minute to talk a little bit about your district and your sense of that, and then come back to identify the other elements of vision. And I have the advantage that I'm able to listen in on several different tables talking about this. This is a rich conversation. And the question is this a conversation that's been replicated in your school committee? So one of the things that may come up early on in the conversation about vision is, so what is a vision statement? The easiest definition of a vision statement is it's a statement of your best future. It isn't a statement of what your purpose is. That's more a mission statement. It's a statement of where you're going. So the risk is, if your school committee doesn't have a vision statement, you don't have much direction, because you are not setting goals to accomplish that best future. Having a vision statement that broadly represents not just the school committee, but the school committee, the community, the educational community, the people who live in your community, this needs to be a participatory process. And it needs to be reviewed. It's something that you need to come back to make sure that this is still where we want to be going. It is not how you are getting there. It is a statement of where you're going. So you have options. Your vision statement may say, every child is an achiever in our district. But some vision statements don't talk about every child. They talk about children will be high achievers. The every child suggests a different focus than children will. And so you need to be really careful about articulating the values that hold you together, that shape the future you're trying to achieve. Every school district, every school board needs to have a vision and a conversation about that. And frankly, every time there's a turnover on the school committee, there ought to be a new conversation about the vision, a reaffirmation or modification of what direction you are moving. If you don't do that, the risk is you have a vision statement. It was great 10 years ago. But frankly, there's only one person still on your school committee from 10 years ago. And so it's not really representative of the people sitting at the table. If you have had that conversation, do you have a written document? Because sometimes there are notes from a conversation, but not a final product. If you have a vision statement, who have you told? Is this something that every time somebody walks into one of your schools, there it is over the door, this is where we're going? Or is it something that is in some archived document for the school committee? Somebody once went and looked at it. So how well have you articulated that vision of the future? And when you look at the budgeting process, which will consume a modest amount of your time, when you look at the policy questions that are going to come to your table, is there a conversation about, this is where we said we're going, so how should we handle this? Is there an alignment between where you're going and your budget so that you're putting money to the goals that you have set? Or was the conversation about vision something we did? We had a retreat in June. I remember it. It was great. And we're going to look at it again next June, but it's not at the table every time you're making a decision. So what NSBA says in this document is, if you don't have a vision statement, you're giving away part of your ability to impact the achievement of students. It's a shortcoming. It's something that you need to pay attention to. Now, the truth is, NSBA only represents the 90,000 school committee members across the country. These are the professionals in the work that you do. And this is the first priority that they say you can make a difference. Take a look then at page 26. The second priority, the second priority in the key work of school boards is accountability. So you have a self-assessment instrument here. I would ask you to do the same thing you just did for vision. To what extent is your school committee achieving the priority with regard to accountability? So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Walk through this in terms of your own school committee. Then we'll talk a little bit at your table. And then we'll come back and see where we are. So rate your own school committee, page 26, with regard to accountability.